My husband's bond with his sister borders on obsession, a so-called sister complex. Invading our home, my sister-in-law and her husband treat it as their own, disregarding boundaries and helping themselves to our belongings without permission. Despite my protests, my husband ignores their overbearing behavior, only fueling their audacity. I've reached my breaking point. Here, I'll share my journey to the moment I decided to end the marriage. I'm Jessica, recently promoted at 28. While some may find it early, I've dedicated myself to work, and the recognition feels rewarding. In my personal life, I'm a newlywed, relishing in the bliss of marriage with Tom. Balancing work success with love, life seemed satisfying. On one occasion, I found myself tasked with a business trip, a first for me. Despite a mix of nerves and excitement, I embraced the opportunity, particularly as it stemmed from my recent promotion. Following the promotion, my schedule filled with frequent day trips, likely due to my status as a newlywed. However, this time, a 3-day trip awaited me. I relayed the news to my husband. 3 days away, that's a bit much for a newlywed, isn't it? Well, I'll have Sarah come by, he remarked. Sarah, Tom's younger sister, married but still under his doting wing, albeit in a somewhat unsettling manner. Why would Sarah need to come over? I inquired. Handling things solo might be a challenge, and Sarah's handy around the house. I figured with her help, we could manage during your absence, so off you go on your trip without a worry. Oh, and remember to pick up souvenirs, though you'll have to chip in with the chores. I mused internally, but refrained from voicing my thoughts. Personally, I dreaded the idea of Sarah's presence in our home. She lacked basic etiquette, often treating our space as her own even after marriage. Her unannounced visits left me scrambling to accommodate her whims. However, it became apparent that Sarah had been in frequent communication with Tom. Then, unexpectedly, Sarah and her husband arrived at our doorstep without warning. I had hoped that Sarah's husband might bring some sense to the situation, but my hopes were dashed. Both of them seemed entirely self-centered. Hey, are you cooking dinner? I'm famished. Oh, and make sure you iron my shirt, he demanded. To make matters worse, Tom appeared to harbor some resentment towards Sarah's husband, likely stemming from his marriage to Tom's cherished sister. Adding to the complexity, Sarah's husband had a gambling addiction, spending weekdays and weekends glued to local casinos. What's this? You're here too? I didn't invite you. Seems like you're not too thrilled to see me, huh? Well, I couldn't care less. I'm just here for the free meal, he retorted, oblivious to my presence. Their utter disregard for others was glaring. To compound matters, it seemed Tom allowed Sarah entry into our home even in my absence. Upon returning, I find her lounging about as if it were her own abode, casually remarking, "Hey Jessica, I'm hungry," as though a routine. Despite my visible frustration, Sarah would help herself to my possessions without permission. She'd freely use my cosmetics, then casually declare, "Hey sis, this one's empty. Could you buy me a new one?" Why do you feel entitled to use my belongings and expect me to foot the bill? I wanted to snap, but when I voiced my grievances to Tom, he dismissed them with a smile, saying, "She's just excited to have a sister and wants to share things with you. Aren't you glad to have a sister too?" His lack of understanding was baffling, and he refused to take my concerns seriously. As Sarah's impending visit looms over my upcoming business trip, I can't shake off the worry of what she might do in my absence. I attempt to reason with Tom, suggesting, "Sarah, considering you're married too, surely you have your own responsibilities at home. Can you manage without being here for 3 days? I'll arrange meals for those days." But Tom brushes off my concerns, insisting, "No need to worry. She's looking forward to it. Her husband's always off gambling, leaving her alone. Are you feeling envious? We're very close siblings, we support each other. Just focus on your trip." Inside, I'm screaming. It's not jealousy. I just don't want Sarah here, but outwardly all I manage is a feeble. Is that so? Resigned, I embark on my business trip. The fear of what might unfold in my absence gnaws at me. I dread returning to a house overtaken by Sarah's presence. As I step back into the chaos after 3 days filled with apprehension, I find Sarah lounging about, having neglected her promised duties. The house is in disarray and essentials are depleted. "Welcome back. Thanks for everything. You can head home now," I assert, attempting to maintain politeness with a hint of firmness. But Sarah's response catches me off guard. "What? I'm staying. We're having my favorite dinner tonight. Confused, I inquire, what do you mean? She casually informs me, oh, Sarah, and I decided on sushi tonight. My husband, seeming unusually cheerful, adds, we always decide together on dinner when you return from trips. It dawns on me then that Tom hasn't reached out to me at all during my absence. I attempt to have a private conversation with Tom, seeking understanding and peace after returning exhausted from my business trip. Hey, I've just gotten back and I'm really drained. I just want some quiet time to unwind without worrying about anyone else. You get that right? I express, hoping for empathy, but he casually dismisses my concerns. It's no big deal, right? You and Sarah are practically sisters. His nonchalant response stirs a wave of irritation within me. Apparently, Sarah had been staying over the entire time I was away. Yet the state of the house remained unchanged, leaving me puzzled about how she spent her time. Upon entering my room, I noticed the telltale signs of my belongings being disturbed, cosmetics and accessories missing. My recently acquired, pricey toner, a cherished favorite, seems to be depleting faster than usual, despite my careful usage to stretch its value. Additionally, several accessories are nowhere to be found. Frustrated, I confront Sarah, demanding, Sarah, did you use my things? Her response is flippant, oops, my bad. They looked great on me, so I thought I'd borrow them. But I'll return them, so don't stress. She brushes off, displaying a casual indifference. Despite my anger, Sarah's lack of remorse halts any further confrontation, prompting me to raise the issue with Tom once more. Enough already. She's just borrowing, you say. But it's not okay. Why can't you see my perspective? I plead, hoping to convey the gravity of the situation. Yet my words fall on deaf ears as Tom remains steadfast in his defense of Sarah. Exhausted and defeated, I resign myself to sleep, unable to fully accept the situation, yet too weary to continue the argument. 3 weeks later, another business trip opportunity arises, this time for a whole week. When I inform my husband, he appears taken aback. A week? That's quite a stretch. Well, I'll just have Sarah look after the house again. Don't worry, go ahead. He reassures me. This is precisely what I wanted to address. I'd rather you didn't invite Sarah over anymore. I express my concerns. Tom's reaction is immediate and defensive. Why not? She's family. Last time you said you asked for her help, but nothing was done when I returned. His own words striking a chord with him, Tom falls silent, averting his gaze. You must know as well. Sarah constantly takes my things without permission, claiming she's borrowing them but never returns them. I continue, hoping to make him understand. At this, Tom seems to relent. Fine, but I'll need someone to handle the laundry for the week. I'll just have her over for one day and send her home afterward. Is that all right? He proposes. Why can't you handle the laundry yourself? I suggest, to which he responds, I've never done it before. I wouldn't know where to start. I can teach you, I offer, but Tom remains obstinate. No, I'll just have her over for one day, he insists, showing his reluctance to do household chores or perhaps his desire to involve his sister. Weary of the argument, I reluctantly concede, fine, do as you wish. Just ensure she doesn't stay over. I emphasize this point to Tom, though I harbor doubts about his compliance. True to my suspicions, upon my return a week later, I find Sarah lounging comfortably on the living room sofa, displaying no evidence of having contributed to the household chores. What's happening here? I inquire, perplexed by the unexpected turn of events. Well, there turned out to be more chores than I anticipated. I asked Sarah to stay over yesterday and today because it was too much for her, Tom explains. Internally, I sigh, realizing my suspicions were warranted. But you said it would only be for one day. I remind him, feeling a surge of frustration. Tom brushes off my concern, saying, relax, she's your sister-in-law. And considering you're often away on business trips, you should appreciate her help. What? Do you even understand the nature of business trips? I'm not out there having fun. You always make excuses like this, disregarding my concerns. Tom continues, seemingly oblivious to my point. Oh, and by the way, Sarah's divorced. She's also lost her job. You'll have times when you can't manage the housework due to your trips, right? She said she's fine with it, so I thought we could let her stay with us. My disbelief turns to outrage. What? Why are you making decisions without consulting me? I've already told you that you can handle the housework. It's not a daily occurrence. This is our home together. We're supposed to support each other in times of need. Don't you feel sorry for her? How could you unilaterally break our agreement like this? I can't trust you, I admonish, feeling a pang of guilt for my harsh words. It's just temporary. Sarah also plans to find a job and a place to live as soon as possible. We have a spare room anyway. And she's already given up her apartment. She doesn't want to stay where she lived with her ex, Tom counters, attempting to justify his decision. Unbelievably, my sister-in-law Sarah had gone through a divorce and suddenly expressed a desire to move in with us. How could you make such a decision without consulting me? This is the last straw. Your lack of consideration is appalling. What kind of family dynamic do you envision? If this is how it's going to be, then do whatever you want. I seethed, clutching my suitcase freshly returned from a business trip as I stormed out of the house. Leaving was the easy part, but with nowhere specific in mind, I found myself seeking solace in an internet cafe. After a brief moment to collect myself, my husband Tom reached out to me. Come on, Jazz, there's no need to be so upset. My sister is going through a tough time. I can't just abandon her, he pleaded. Now that you've had a chance to cool down, think about it. She's offering to help with the household chores. That's not such a bad offer, is it? Remember the promises we made. And to be honest, I don't trust your sister Sarah either. I can barely stand her, he admitted. What are you even saying? If you're so adamant about Sarah living here, why don't you leave? I retorted sharply. Is that really what you want? Fine, I'll do it. I have no problem with that. But don't come running back to me if you regret it. Tom replied angrily before abruptly ending the call. As I hung up, I felt a wave of detachment wash over me. Enough is enough. I've endured so much pain because of him, and now he's pushing me out. But I'll ensure he regrets his decision. Determined, I devised a plan and began gathering the necessary resources. Soon after setting my plan in motion, as anticipated, Tom called me. Just hear me out. This morning, out of the blue, John showed up at our doorstep. Tom's voice was filled with panic. His words rushed. Your brother John, who's skilled with household chores, was deliberately invited by me to come over. I also spoke with Tom's parents and arranged for Sarah to return to their home. With Sarah gone, it's just John staying with us now. Tom seemed flustered as he questioned, This is strange. Why did you invite him over without consulting me? I calmly replied, I thought you might need some assistance while I'm away. Johnny is adept at household tasks, so I thought his help could be beneficial. I couldn't help but express my discomfort. Tom, it's unsettling for me when someone unexpectedly intrudes and starts doing chores. I feel like I have to constantly maintain a facade in my own home. His response stunned me. Why? Sarah did the same thing to me. You could have at least informed me beforehand when Sarah was coming over. Tom's silence and guilty expression spoke volumes. How can you expect everything to be fine for you but not for me when I'm in the same situation? I demanded, my frustration boiling over. It seemed like the realization finally dawned on him. But this was merely the beginning of my retaliation. I've laid up a situation. You can discuss the household tasks with John. Goodbye. I swiftly ended the call before Tom could reply. Despite his persistent calls afterward, I chose to ignore them, signaling the beginning of my retaliation. The following day, in accordance with my plan, I enlisted my brother's help to initiate the second phase of my revenge. As anticipated, my husband's phone rang almost immediately. Jessica, I need your assistance. His voice trembled, desperation evident in his tone. What's the matter? Has something happened? I feigned innocence, awaiting his response. What hasn't happened? Your brother is using my belongings without permission. From my suits to my bags, even the new accessories I just purchased. I haven't even had the chance to use them yet, he lamented. Well, didn't you deem it acceptable for your sister to do the same? Remember when I expressed my concerns, you retorted, she's your sister, let her borrow it. Don't be so tight-fisted. Your selfishness truly astounds me, I countered, leaving him speechless. Furthermore, I've informed your parents about this. I imagine your sister is receiving an earful from them as we speak. With that, he fell silent, unable to offer a rebuttal. Well, she's getting what she deserves, I remarked, finding solace in the fact that my in-laws were rational. You involved my parents in this? How could you? My husband's voice was laced with disbelief. You never listened to me, I countered, unapologetic for my actions. He was clearly flustered, never expecting me to go as far as involving his own parents. I even asked them to refrain from contacting you for a while, and they agreed, I added, revealing another layer of my plan. Hours later, I returned home accompanied by my in-laws and sister-in-law. Upon entering, my husband wasted no time in directing his frustration toward me. You're finally back. It's been difficult because of you, he complained, showing no remorse for his previous actions. Ignoring his accusations, I ushered everyone into the living room and presented them with a video. As my husband and sister-in-law watched in stunned silence, I explained, this video reveals everything. Their expressions shifted from confusion to shock as they witnessed their own actions caught on camera. It was clear that my secret installation of a hidden camera before my business trip had paid off. The footage exposed my sister-in-law rummaging through my belongings and taking them without my consent. I'm sorry, but I didn't trust the two of you, so I recorded this before my business trip, I explained calmly as I watched the reactions unfold. My father-in-law erupted in anger upon seeing the video. What have you done? Is this a regular occurrence? This is illegal. His words were sharp with fury. Even my mother-in-law, her face flushed with anger and on the verge of tears, couldn't contain her outrage. As the rage simmered, I knew it was time to end my revenge. Without hesitation, I thrust the divorce papers at my husband. Wait a minute. Are you seriously ending our marriage over this? Is this some kind of joke? He protested incredulously. Do you think this is a joke? Do you understand how much distress this little thing, as you call it, has caused me? You never listen when I try to discuss it, always prioritizing Sarah. Moreover, she never returned the items she took from me without permission. It's akin to theft. I could even pursue legal action against her. Now hurry up and sign, I demanded firmly, my patience wearing thin. He trembled as he took the pen, my in-laws observing the scene in silence. Eventually, he signed, seeming to resign himself to the inevitable outcome. Once the divorce papers were in my possession, I wasted no time in packing my belongings. Witnessing my preparations, my husband attempted to intervene. Hold on, Jessica. If you leave, I won't be able to afford the rent for this place, he pleaded, desperation evident in his voice. It was true that the apartment we currently resided in was conveniently located and came with a hefty price tag. Relying solely on his salary, he couldn't possibly manage the expenses alone. Despite the pitiful expressions on my in-laws' faces as they observed their son, I remained resolute. I don't care anymore. You're a stranger to me now. Why don't you figure it out yourself? After all, you have your beloved sister. The two of you can find a place within your budget, I retorted coldly. With those words, I left the house and headed straight to submit the divorce papers. I secured an apartment near my workplace, eager to start afresh. In the days that followed, my ex-husband bombarded me with calls and emails. But I found them to be nothing but a nuisance, so I blocked all communication. I had no interest in his whereabouts or activities. Liberated from the burden of stress, I relished in the newfound freedom of my single life.